will often go to a neutral meeting ground. So with that in mind, I arranged to see WPC Laura Jeffries at a local cafe. Laura, the subject of domestic violence is a very serious subject, so our viewers may find it strange that we're actually sitting here in a cafe talking about it and not in the police station.
We feel it's quite beneficial to have different locations that we can use to speak to the victims, because obviously it's very difficult for somebody to come into a police station or somewhere else that they might associate with the establishment, such as solicitors or the social services. Venues like this, they can be neutral, and providing it's not too distressing for the individual, then we're quite happy to sort of really go wherever the victim feels happiest with meeting us.
To handle cases like Sally's sensitively from the start, don't all officers need fundamental retraining?
I think we've made vast steps towards improving the training, and we definitely we have an input to officers' training so that when they deal with the initial call, they can be fully appraised of the options that are open to the victim, and obviously be more sympathetic and be able to show empathy to the victim, and obviously ease them through what could be quite a difficult process for them.
Once you're involved and taking action, there will obviously be court hearings and things like that. How do you actually prevent a recurrence of the problem?
I'm not sure that we can actually ourselves prevent a reoccurrence, but certainly we can perhaps strengthen the victim and empower them to make decisions for themselves that in the future might make them less vulnerable, and if they find themselves in that position again, they'll know where to go to get the relevant help, and also it might encourage them not to fall back, as Sally said earlier this morning, into the same pattern and the repeat performance. But the most important thing is that we would always be there, however many times they felt they needed to draw on our resources, and that it's an open door policy. And it's also the fact that we would endeavour to be non-judgmental.
Just as the victim can't handle the situation on her own, the police need the help of lawyers and social workers. Julie Cooper from Owen White and Catlin is a solicitor who regularly handles cases like Sally's. According to her, the multi-agency approach is not problem-solving by committee.
No, I think it's very effective. The purpose of it, and we have a scheme, as you know, in Spelthorne, is so that all the agencies can meet together, and the benefit of that is, of course, when I phone someone, say in housing, say, can you replace this lady, they will know me, that they will know what I'm likely to do if they don't replace the lady, and we all get on fairly well, work together, and that tends to assist. I think it's a good and valid way of dealing with this problem.
Courts to many people are cold, impersonal places. How do you help the victim through that when, after all, they've been through a difficult situation themselves?
Well, there are ways, of course. The police have the victim support unit, and they will assist. But lawyers and other agencies tend to try to be relaxed, helpful. I meet my clients either at the office or outside the court building, take them through all of the processes, stay with them throughout the whole proceedings. So before they go into court, I'm outside talking to them about whether and their problem, of course. And then when they actually go into court, they don't have to do that much, particularly on the first hearing, which is an ex parte hearing, which is a hearing where the other side don't have to attend. Second hearing, if there's a full trial, they have to do more, they have to answer questions. But they'd have been through that, and one tries to help them so they know what's going to happen, to make the process more relaxed and easier to cope with. But it probably is quite difficult.
The government's planning major changes in the law on domestic violence. What alternatives does a victim have now?
Do you mean if someone's been assaulted and they're not in a domestic violence situation? If it's a situation where it's an ex-boyfriend who perhaps hasn't been living there, he goes to the home of the girl, then there are other civil remedies. You can still obtain an injunction, but you would do that by issuing civil proceedings for assault and trespass. That would still be backed up in the same way. The problem with that would be that there wouldn't be a power of arrest, which is, of course, the way that the police deal with matters where the boyfriend has ignored the order and goes round to the house. There's a power of arrest, and the police can then immediately go round and apprehend.
Some of our viewers may be thinking the sorts of experiences you've been sharing with us are similar ones to theirs, but they feel trapped. What advice would you give them?
What advice would I give them? I would say use the amenities they've got. Phone the police, the Samaritans. There are other places that they can phone, but they're the two that have helped me. I mean, the Samaritans was the first initial phone call, and then the police. I didn't phone the Samaritans after that. I went on with the police, and the police helped me. But I still aggravated the police because I went back on my word and back with him and back and forth like a yo-yo. But they were still there at the end of the day. Didn't matter how many times I went back, they still were there, and they were really good with me. I would go to the police, but it's just frightening. It's really frightening because you don't know whether your boyfriend's going to come in not happy, sad, drunk or sober or whatever, and it is the most scariest thing in your life. Once you've done it, it gets better, and they know then they can't manipulate you. The more you allow them to do it, the more they will do it, and they'll take the mickey out of it.
We thank Sally for sharing her experience with us. There are no reliable figures to back up the feeling that cases like hers are just the tip of the iceberg. The scale of the problem, like the violence itself, is hidden behind the psychological barrier that traps the victim. Unless, like Sally, you make that all-important first telephone call.
Tom Magna there. Now on to dragon boat racing, and recently the Eton team went off up to Canary Wharf to compete against the world's finest, and our very own Elaine Ford went with them.
Welcome to Millwall Docks and the world of dragon boat racing, Britain's newest and brightest water sport. Today is the national qualifying round event with over 24 crews taking part. We're about to meet one of those crews, the Cole Norton Dragons. Brian, you're the crew manager of the Cole Norton Dragons. How did they actually get together?
Well, we were called together by our boss at Eton College, who desperately wanted someone to take part at Cookham Regatta, and he issued an edict, can you get 20 guys together into the boat? So we had a volunteer call out, and amazingly we had more people respond than we needed, and we turned out, enjoyed it, and decided then to get a bit more serious in doing it.
And how long ago was that?
That was August '92, so that's what's 18 months ago.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, dragon boat racing itself, how long has it actually been a competitive sport?
In Great Britain, it's been going for about 8 years, but of course in the Far East, where it's a very, very big sport, going for many, many years.
Oh, right, so that's where it originated.
That's where it originated, in China and Hong Kong.
Right. And do you actually paddle yourself?
Yes, I do occasionally now, but I'm getting too old and too heavy. But one of the good things about dragon boating is that it caters for all ages and a mixed crew. So we've got the youngest in the crew is about 15 and the eldest is over 60, and men and women.
It makes it much more interesting, doesn't it?
Much more interesting. It's great fun, but it's tremendous for camaraderie and morale. Certainly in my department, where most of these people come from, there's really a buzz about the place since we've taken part in this. It really pulls everyone together, look forward, and there's quite a social life developed from it as well now.
Mm-hmm.